Welcome to One with the Other Way, a podcast about your journey and finances. I'm your host, James. We have Peggy with us today. Today we're talking about how we can serve you, but one of the ways that we serve you is we do need some of your information. And we get some questions quite often. Why do you need so much information?
Why we ask so many questions, right? Why do we need to know all of the things that we're asking you? And it's a lot at times. I get it. It's a lot.
So let's say you're coming in and, let's just take, I'm coming in as a new client, for just a first appointment. What do I need?
Well, that's a good question. So there's a lot of things when you first come in, right? We have our lovely coworker, Hinako, who will send out an email that says to have specific things. And they're usually like your financial statements. Basically, we want to know everything about your financial life. So we want to have your tax returns. We want your financial statements in any way you have them. So your bank statements, investment accounts that you have, retirement accounts that you have, that kind of stuff. So we'll ask you to bring as much of that as you can. And also, if you have some specific questions, she'll ask you that so that we can, make better use of our time. So we ask a lot of questions and we need to know a lot of things. So in this podcast, we're just going to tell you why we ask and, what we're doing with that information. Because I think a lot of people want to know too, well, why do you ask that? What are you doing? So we get a lot of questions about why do we need your tax return, right? Why do we need to know your tax return? So first of all, we will look at your tax return to see a couple of different things, right? First of all, do you owe the IRS money? Because that's important. We need to know that. If you owe the IRS back taxes of some large amount of money, you may not be able to be opening investment accounts, putting money in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things. There are limitations on some of the accounts that we would maybe have you invest in. A Roth is a good example. And so we need to know things about your total income. You may not be eligible for a Roth account based on your income. There are limitations. We need to know that. If you tell us, oh, my income is, we'll just say $100,000. But then a lot of people don't tell us their gross income. They'll tell us their net income. Oh, I bring home, I don't know, my paychecks are like $1,000 a month. But that's how much they see in their bank, right?
That's
Some people
true.
will give us that number. They won't give us their total income. And it makes a difference in things that we're doing. It also makes a huge difference if you're married and you're filing separately. You may not be eligible for any Roth contributions. So we need to know those kind of things. That's why we ask you for your taxes, right? It's so that we know and we're doing our due diligence to make sure that anything we recommend to you is actually in your best interest.
That kind of goes along the side, why do we ask for a pay stub? Correct, too, right?
Yes, same thing. A pay stub does a couple of different things, right? It verifies your employment, it verifies your employer, which we also need that information to put into our system so that we know you're employed. It also shows us how much withholding you're having so that, we'll see, are they going to have a big tax bill? Do we need to prepare for that? Or is the withholding proper? Do you have 401ks? Do you have HSAs? Do you have an FSA? Are you getting insurance? All of those things, a pay stub can tell us a lot of those things and help us in that.
So coming into this first meeting, you're bringing all this information. What other information are we likely to be asked about in a first appointment? We also have these new client forms that we give. And Peggy, you want to kind of explain that process and what that kind of looks like?
Yes. So we have forms that we will send to you, and it asks you questions about they seem like they might be strange questions, but ask you about your risk tolerance. It asks you about your investment history, your investment knowledge, and all of these questions that we ask you, there are reasons, right? So if you are telling us that you're going to retire in a year, and then on the other side, you want to be invested in something that's going to make you a higher yield, or you might have income needs, or you might be telling us things that will have us put you into, say, a growth portfolio, or maybe your age is telling us we have a long time to invest. So we think that maybe you should be looking farther out. And so we would put you in something like aggressive growth, maybe, right? But then you tell us, well, I'm going to retire in a year and I'm going to want to use this money.
Mm.
These things make a huge difference in how we should be investing your money and the conversations that we're going to have. So, all these questions that we ask you, and we give you forms to fill out, and we ask you the same question multiple times and in different ways, it's all ways for us to get to know you and to understand your goals, who you are, what's important to you. Because everybody, all of our clients are individuals, right? Real life, your real life. And so you have different goals maybe than I have. You have a different lifestyle than I have. You have things that are important to you may not be important to me at all. Right. So it I need to act as a fiduciary, right? I have to do what's best for you and your life and your goals and who you are, not me.
Mm-hmm.
So if something is very important to you and it's not important to me, well, I have to set my own feeling aside and I have to look at you and what's important to you in your life. And so all of these questions that we ask are to make sure that we're doing what we believe is the best thing for you in your life.
Now, I think some people might come to see this, and if they come into the first appointment, they have all these questions, all these things about their investment history, and what if they feel like, okay, well, maybe I don't have any investment history? Is that a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing. I mean, everybody's at a different place in their life when they come to see us. We get people who have just started. We get people who've had 3 different investment advisors and they haven't been happy, right? So if you come and you don't have any investment experience, that's okay. I mean, that's what we're for, right? I don't have any experience fixing the engine in my car, right? And the mechanic doesn't care. So it's not a bad thing if you don't have experience. We want you to be comfortable coming in to see us. We want you to understand that we're going to ask you questions. An interesting thing is cash flow. When we talk about cash flow, it's interesting. People hesitate to tell you things, and I understand. I sometimes I'll have like a guilty pleasure, but somebody else may be like, well, I do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we're talking with you about your cash flow and how you're spending your money, honestly, we are not judging you. I promise. You spend your money how you want to spend your money. And it's not our job to tell you how to spend your money. We can guide you and give you clarity and help you and talk to you about how to get to your goals. But if you're the kind of person that wants to have Starbucks every single day and that's what you want, then fine. That's your thing, right? That's what's important to you. So we're not judging. We just are taking the information.
I think another good way to highlight this here, if you want to talk about being a non-emotional member of your team.
That just means that we're here to guide you on your financial journey, and we're here to do it from somebody who's not attached to your things, right?
So kind of going then into storing all this information, I feel like there's in today's society, there's a lot of
Yeah.
fear regarding the internet, AI, hackers, whatever you want to say about information. What do you want to tell our listeners about privacy and how that looks on our
Right.
end?
Well, we actually are a paperless office. So we give you paper, you sign things, all of that. But any paper you give to us or anything that we've asked you to sign, we make that into a digital document. We shred the originals and then it's stored in a secure manner. I mean, obviously, all of your investment stuff is stored very securely, and we are very careful with all of that. So, it's just as secure as all of your banking information, as all of, you know, your work paychecks. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, right, a lot of people have paychecks, say, and they have all of this information on you as well. And
Mm-hmm.
we are secure just as all of them. And we are very careful with everything that you give to us. If you put something through our mail slot in the office when we're not here, we get it and we immediately process it. So if it's a check and we're depositing it, we deposit it and then we shred the check as soon as we know that the check has been deposited. So we take your privacy and your security of your things very seriously.
If you were to ever come on and work with us, you would receive a privacy policy from us as well. And so you can read that yourself as well. Going into kind of like a little bit of an odd thing I feel like people aren't used to, we do ask for information about maybe beneficiaries or trusted contacts. Now, many people may not know what both of them are. Many people know what a beneficiary is, but if you want to kind of go into, what does this mean and why are we asking for this information?
Yeah, and that's a hard one to ask for too. I think it's weird. I feel strange sometimes when I'm asking people about beneficiaries. So, a beneficiary is somebody that, in the unlikely an event that you die, sometimes maybe somebody's older, but if you were to pass away, your money in this account would go to your beneficiary. So we do ask for that information, and it doesn't matter how old you are. We want to know that information. It's important for your heirs to have that. And so you get to make that choice. So that's your beneficiary. A trusted contact is a little bit different. A trusted contact is somebody that we can reach out to if we're concerned about you. So, say you have an account and we haven't been able to reach you. We've tried to call you, or your mail has been returned, and we can't get a hold of you for whatever reason. We will reach out to your trusted contact and we will just say, you know, hi, this is Peggy Van Hook. I'm, you know, Joe Smith's financial advisor, and I'm trying to reach Mr. Smith. Can you tell me how I can do that? And the trusted contact, we would tell them, you've been listed as a trusted contact. So can you tell us how we can reach Mr. Smith? And then that person can tell us, oh, Mr. Smith moved or whatever. So that's one example of when we would reach out to your trusted contact. Another one is if something happens to you, say you're in an accident and your mental abilities have been affected, or you're older and you're showing signs of confusion, or you're asking us to do very strange things that are completely out of character for you. So that's another reason we would reach out to your trusted contact if we thought that something is going on with you and we're not sure. And it could be a medical thing and we're concerned. And we would reach out to your trusted contact and just say, could you check on Mr. Smith? We're his financial office. You've been listed as his trusted contact. And we're a little bit concerned because he seemed confused. Now, a trusted contact cannot do anything in your accounts, and they cannot contact us and get information, even if they're your trusted contact. If they call me and say, I'm Mr. Smith's trusted contact, I can't give them any information unless you have signed another form that tells me I can, or that we have done, a power of attorney or something like that. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
trusted contact.
But we aren't going to contact them in any other way. We're not going to go to them for trying to make them a client or.
Oh, that's a good point. We won't reach out to them at all. We don't tell them that they're your trusted contact. We never reach out to them unless we are concerned about something about, either your well-being or we can't find you. That's
Mhm.
the only time that we would reach out to a trusted contact.
One more thing I feel like people may get paper-wise a lot too is, and some people may not know that they can go ahead online and change to paperless statements in their account view. But I know we also get some clients that come and they say, why do I keep getting mailed statements? Every time we do maintenance on your account, every time we make changes, if we were to say, update your driver's license information for a new license, you're probably going to get something from
So,
LPL.
yeah, that's a good point. And I think people should understand that this is for your safety,
Hmm.
right? So, anytime we, as your financial professional, make a change on your account, if we go in and we change your banking instructions, so
Mm.
we've changed your bank account, you'll get a notice in the mail. Yes, it will come to you in paper. You get an email. If we change your address, you will get something at the old address and the new address.
Mm.
And the reason, this is for your safety, right? So if I don't know, maybe you're having a divorce and one of you has decided that you want all the information and you don't want them to get it. And so you change it. And if we didn't send out notices, then you wouldn't know. Right. Or if you're a victim of fraud and somehow, I don't even know how this can happen, to be honest with you, but if somehow somebody changes your bank instructions, they changed your bank account, then you get a notice about it. Now, we don't do that, right? We don't take emails to change your banking instructions. We don't take emails to change or purchase any securities. We have to call you on the phone and verify that information. We need to understand and know that it's you. So it needs to come from the email that you have on record. We need to talk to you on the telephone. There's a lot of things that we do that maybe seem like imposition to the client, but it's all these things that we're doing is for your safety. It's in today's day and age, the way that things can get changed for your banking instructions and your addresses and all of that stuff. It's really for your safety.
And then I will also add too, for our own safety, and whenever we're traveling outside the office, or I know Wanda does a lot of traveling around and will meet a lot of our clients in their different states that they are, we are secure on the go too. So with VPN, with our software that we use is all secure too. So just to keep in mind that, privacy and safety are the highest priority to us in dealing with all this information that we have. So,
and we have lots of training on that, and we don't, store personal information on our personal devices, on our computers that we travel with us. The information is uploaded and deleted from our local hard drives. It's stored all in, secure locations through our custodian.
And then we get reviewed on it too.
Yes, we are. Our custodian comes and reviews us.
Hopefully this was helpful for anyone to understand kind of what the process is like, whether it being a first-time appointment or if you've been a long-time client with us. Hopefully this answered some questions on, why do we do things a certain way that we do? A lot of it is to fulfill different compliance requirements, but we just want to make sure that this was done well and safely with your privacy. If you enjoyed this episode and you had more questions, financesforreallife.com. You can schedule an appointment with Peggy or Wanda if you'd like, and you can keep following us on our podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Thanks for listening to today's episode. We hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your week. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Finances for Real Life, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.